Pisces, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol and this is going to be a general reading for you. There's no date on this reading because I trust that when it comes into your feed, it is meant for you. And so in today's reading, we're going to be using the Ehrenberg Tarot, and I'm going to be clarifying it with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And we're going to be doing a reading called Conquer Your Fears. And I guess this reading was sort of inspired, well, it was inspired by what I've been going through the last few weeks, which was healing my fear that's been coming up in my system. And, you know, fear is one of the most intense emotions in our system. It can, you know, show up in our body. It can show up in our thoughts, our dreams. And for me, it really showed up as anxiety in my chest. And it was like this feeling of paralysis until I figured out what's going on here. Where is this fear coming from? You know, I sat and I said, okay, I understand that it's coming from all the events that are happening in the world. But because I was feeling so much of it on a personal level, that to me tells me that, well, that's something you have to look at. This is triggering your own fear. And so there was something about my feeling paralyzed, not being able to do anything. Something about, you know, feeling almost like there's a bully out there and that sort of like controlling kind of behavior. And I was like, this is really showing up for me to look at. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to do a reading on this because I know that there's other people. I know that there are some people that have commented on my reading that they were feeling fear. And so I thought, I'm going to do a reading on this. And so I want to look at right now where fear is showing up in your own life. And then how you are blocking it, because we will block it because we just don't know what to do with it. I mean, I was at a point where I just wanted to rip my chest out because it was like, what do I do with this fear that's in my system? But I do have a few things that I do. So, and then what is the origin of this fear? Where is it coming from? Because I said it is coming, it's triggering you. And so that is going to be, it's coming from your childhood or your adolescence, believe it or not. You know, it's coming up for you to heal. And so we're going to look at that. And then we're also going to get some advice from the tarot to see, as you know, how can you begin to release this fear? And so that's where I'll help you out as well, because I know how to release my fear when it comes up in my system. So I'm going to put you on speed dial right now, speed shuffle, and I'll be back in a few seconds. All right, Pisces, let's begin your reading. Where's the fear showing up in your life right now? We start off with the Seven of Swords in, not in reverse, it's sideways actually. In an upright position, the Seven of Swords speaks about, I like this depiction of it because it's like someone that's hiding behind a mask. And the Seven of Swords is often called the thief card, where they have, they're leaving a battle camp usually, and they have like, they're sneaking away with these 5 swords and they're leaving 2 behind. The swords in particular, that suit, is our mental energy. It's those things that you tell yourself, those thoughts and those opinions where you're kind of, you know, you keep saying these things to yourself over and over again. And it's like those things that you've inherited, that you've stolen from childhood or adolescence, and you've brought them into your adult life, and you keep telling them, you keep saying these things to yourself. And it's like, and this individual's peeking out behind this mask, because when we're younger, people tell us things about ourselves, and we're sponges. So we take it on and we think that's who we are. And eventually our real self gets covered up. And so we put on this mask for people, because the person that we really are is not liked by other people around us for some reason, or things about us were pointed out, things we weren't allowed to do, or things we weren't allowed to say or do, or, you know, so, and then we end up wearing this mask. And so I see you here as kind of like wanting to peek out here from this mask. It's like, who am I? Who am I? Who am I behind this mask? And so there's some real fear on your part to begin to drop this mask and really start to question, are these things true about myself? These things that people told me about myself? And you're just starting to look at that and peek out from under that mask and see, but there's a lot of fear on your part to try to uncover some of these, find out, what's my truth. The sword is all about your truth. And so I think the Lover's card comes out next in an upright position. It talks about a choice to be made. It's a choice card. And you have here the masculine figure and the feminine figure. And if you look at the masculine figure, he's looking straight ahead. He's not even looking, at the feminine at all. And this feminine here, this figure, she's looking straight up to the divine, and she represents our conscious, and he represents our unconscious, and he represents our mind, and she represents our unconscious, which is all those things that are hidden from us, our shadow, those things that are beautiful things that we've put away about ourselves. She represents beautiful feminine qualities that we have, and she represents going inward and getting into our own intuition, getting in touch with our own intuition, because it's very much guided by another power, the divine, whatever you want to call your other power. But he's our ego self. He's into his head. He's not connected to that divine. And so this is like a choice card for you to go inwards. And it comes out when it's like, here's a choice for you. Like you're wanting to get back to, who you really are. And finding out your truth. And here's this card that comes out in reverse, because going inwards is a scary thing for you. And when I mean going inwards, because some people maybe don't know what that means, it means when you're actually going to start to, ground into your body and start to really find out and feel, what's inside. What are these emotions that are stirring? Where is my fear coming from? And I think you're peeking out, but you're very scared to find out something here. And then the moon card comes out. Interesting card to come out here. It came out sideways. The moon speaks about all these strange things that come out of the water. Water is all about our emotions. All of these strange things coming out of the water here. And the moon brings out all these things that are hidden, have been hidden. And so you are really scared to go inwards. I think there's a real willingness. You really want to, but you're really scared to go inwards to see what's this, where's this fear coming from? So that's why you're sitting here right now, where you're kind of wanting to, because there's some things that are hidden for you to look at, and you're scared of these things that might come up. And, most of us are. Most of us are scared of emotions, just petrified of it. And so when this fear comes out, this fear is actually your ego self that fears you from going, like it really is petrified. It's a petrified part. And so it doesn't want you to go inwards and look at where this fear is coming from. So it's like your ego self has this fear that wants to come up. So there's something here that your fear is associated with, but you're just like, your ego is going, no, we're not going there. We're not touching this stuff. And so how are you blocking this? How are you blocking this, Pisces? Well, you have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen is, in my deck, the feminine side. We have a feminine side, and I talked about the ego. And the ego is our masculine side. We all have these two parts. It has nothing to do with gender. But the feminine is holding this Queen is holding this sword right in between her eyes, you know, covering that third eye, our intuition, our intuitive knowing. And that's a feminine quality, or intuition. And this is the sort of truth. It's the sort of truth. But she's blocked here. And so you're blocking your truth. There's something here that, and we talked about it up here, where you're trying to kind of look at, you know, what is my truth here? But you are blocking it. Your fear. How are you blocking your fear? Well, you don't feel like you have the strength. Here's the strength card. This is the strength card to go inwards, to get back in your body. And so you're really blocking, and I can see it's probably your ego that's just telling you that you don't have the strength. Don't do this. Don't you dare do this. You don't have the strength to go inwards to find out what your truth really is and where this fear is coming from. And here's your Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups is the sixes in my deck have this duality to them. And in this card, it's like this older child giving to a younger child. And so there's like this giving and receiving here. This is my inner child card. And so what I'm seeing is you have an inner child. Our inner children, we can have more than one inner child. They hold our emotions, our big emotions. They hold our fears. They hold grief. They hold all our pain, our memories, our trauma from our childhood, because when we were young, we couldn't face our fears. We couldn't face these big emotions that we had. And so we have parts of us. We all have parts that will split off and hold these. Our inner children, they're parts, and they hold this trauma, this fear that you have. And I think that you have this inner child that's trying to get your attention, and you're blocking it. This fear is blocking this. I'm going to say your ego is blocking the fear that this inner child is holding. And so you have a very young child here that is being blocked by your ego that's saying, you know, you can't do this. You don't have the strength to do this. Why are you even going to try? You know, don't go there. Don't you dare go there. And that's how you're blocking it. And so let's look at where this comes from your childhood, from when you were an adolescent. What's the origin of this fear? And so we're going to look at this part right here. And this is going to tell me, because this is your unconscious part of you that you don't know. You also, it's your shadow. It's all those things that you repressed when you were younger. This is where all these, you know, these things that you're trying to uncover right here. It's all right here. This is where your truth is. We will find in our shadow our real truth. This is where we find out who we really are, when we start to go inwards and feel a lot of our emotions. And then we can uncover some real truths about ourselves. And so you have the Queen of Pentacles as a card you start off with. And the Queen, again, is our feminine side. And this time it's the Pentacle. And the Pentacle is the body. This is the card that talks about, this is the earth element, the Pentacle. It talks about grounding, talks about being in our body. And the feminine part of us is that part of us that is very grounded and feels all her emotions, very in touch with herself. And you have that buried right here. You buried that part of you when you were younger. I don't think you felt comfortable and safe enough. And that's where the safety card, the strength card, this feeling strong enough to go inwards. I don't think as a child you felt safe enough to stay grounded in your body. And how does that happen? Well, when you're 4, 5, 6 years old, you're very much grounded. That's why we see kids kind of like just all over the place with their emotions, and they do whatever until they're told that they're not allowed to. They express all these things until they're told that they're not allowed to. And that's when they start to kind of push things away, push them down, put them away when they're told they're not allowed to. And that's where we get this mask from, right? And so you were told as a young person that, you know, you weren't allowed to stay in your body. and be that person that you wanted to be or meant to be. Express yourself. And when that happened, when you were younger, when people told you, put those emotions away, you're not allowed to show your anger. You're not allowed to, cry and those things like that. And that's what you put away here. And then, so you went up in your head, because when we are younger and when we are not allowed to stay in our body, when our body, that's where all our emotions are, when we find out that that's not a safe place to be, well, then our ego self, this king card right here, that's what the king is. It's the masculine side of us. He's the ego self. He's going to come in and he's going to dissociate you as a child. He's going to pull you right out of your body and put you up in your head, because guess what? The emotions aren't up here. And so you learn very young as a child to not stay in your body and go up in your head, because the ego self will protect us when we're younger. But here's the thing about the ego self. The ego self only knows what happened in the past. It doesn't know what's going on now. It doesn't know that you're an adult now. It only remembers what happened in the past. And so that's why your ego self is coming out. And with this fear coming up, and you're going, well, no, we can't touch this. I don't have the strength to touch this. I'm scared. I can't do this. Because you learned as a very young child, don't touch those emotions. And here's the Magician card that comes out, the last card that's sitting in your unconscious right here. The Magician, I call the Master Manifester. He can manifest anything he wants because he's grounded. He's like a lightning rod right here. Reaches up into the sky, and he has the power, the divine power of the universe that comes through his lightning wand, and it gets grounded into the earth. It's not power that he holds on to for himself, but it's just having everything at your disposal to be able to manifest things in your life. And I think that when you were a young child, you felt that you didn't have that. You weren't able to get what you wanted when you were younger. Because you lost all of that. You lost that ability to feel like I can bring things into my life if I want them. I can feel all my emotions. I can be in my body and be able to do what I want to do. And that's where you lost. That's why right here you're blocking it. Well, your strength. The message that you got about your strength is right here about this Magician, because this Magician says you can do this. You have everything in you to do this. And now as an adult, you're feeling like, I don't have this in me to do it. Well, here it is when you were younger, you put that away. You put that feeling of, I have everything in me. I can do it. When you say to kids, we're supposed to, you can do anything you want. And it's true. Imagine if every single kid on this planet was told and brainwashed to believe they could do anything they want in their life. But but you weren't told that. And that's why now you're not feeling like you have the strength to do this, to face this fear. And so that's holding you back. And so how can you begin to release the fear in your system? Because it's there. And so how do you begin? And so here's some advice from the tarot. Well, the Knight of Wands comes up. And the Knight of Wands is, the Knight is what I call my freedom fighter. There's 4 of them in the deck. And the freedom fighter, we all have that part. It's like an adolescent part that just wants to be free in us. Who doesn't want to be free? 2, the wand talks about taking your life in a creative direction, to do what you want to do, to be authentic, to do what you want to do. There is this part of you right now that's wanting to do, that's been trying all your life to do what you want to do. And it's understandable, because as a child that was taken away from you, right? To be able to manifest whatever you want to manifest, to have the strength to do what you want to do. And so oftentimes when we've been struggling with that all our life, this is the part, this adolescent part of us will often feel very hopeless. And so maybe you're dealing with some hopelessness in your life. You can go in and out of it. Sometimes we can have this ungrounded anger that's sitting here, right? angry at, because when there's fear present, there's also anger that's behind it, because you weren't allowed to do things that was taken away from you. And so you have this part that's just wanting to get out there and wanting to be free, and maybe it's angry, and maybe it feels hopeless, and maybe those, you can one day feel hopeless and then you can feel angry, and I think they're like two sides of the same coin. And so what the universe wants you to do is, like, the Nine of Pentacles comes out here, and this is the story of this individual that's training this falcon right here, and it takes a lot of time to train this bird, and they've committed so much time to it, time and energy, because they know it's worth it. And so the universe says, in order for you to start to conquer your fear, you have got to commit to this journey. You have got to commit time to it. You've got to commit energy to it. You have got to make it your priority. You've got this part of you that wants to take you towards your authentic self. And that's where we're coming back to that mask, where you're peeking out and trying to find out, who the hell you are. But it's something that you've got to commit yourself and say, this is what I'm doing. And I had to do that myself. It was like, there's something wrong with me. Why do I have all this fear in my system? Why do I have all these emotions? Why am I doing all these things? Why do I believe all these things about me, And I had this huge freedom fighter in me that wanted to get out and just figure out what's wrong with me. But I had to commit myself to healing myself. And that's what the universe wants to. And the last card is the Knight of Wands again. And so you have this commitment right in between these bookends, I like to call them. Knight of Wands right here. That's how I can feel this part of you that's just bursting for the freedom to be you. But you have to commit to it. And that's what the universe wants you to do. And so I'm going to leave you with a playlist on fear. And that's going to help you with getting in touch with some of your fear. I'm also going to leave you a playlist on grounding and how to get back into your body. And so you can start to feel maybe some of this anger, this hopelessness, this, and that's going to help you get in touch with your fear as well. But it's up to you to commit to it. I know that this is a very difficult journey, and incredibly difficult, but it's the most important journey of your life. So take care, Pisces, and I'll talk soon. Bye.